A new venue this weekend for the Blancpain GT Sports Club. We're at Silverstone, the first time the series has been to the home of British motor racing, and the qualifying race is about to get underway. It is dry but chilly and blustery here in Northamptonshire. Yesterday was a day of some sunshine, quite a bit of rain, and quite a lot of stoppages across the free practice and the qualifying sessions that the cars took part in. But we have a grid and we have a 20-minute race ready to get underway as the cars work their way from the installation lap round onto the grid. And it is going to be John Minshaw, a regular, indeed a race winner in the British GT Championship, who is going to start on pole position. David Addison trackside, looking forward to what should be a very lively race. It's an interesting entry as well because you have the championship leader missing. Daniele Perfetti is here, but he's racing in the Blancpain GT Series Endurance Cup 3-hour race tomorrow. So his championship lead is set to be eroded by Anthony Pons. You get points, but on a reduced scale, with 8 for the race winner for this race, 25 for a win in the main race later on today. And the man on pole position, John Minshaw, having not raced in the series before, not so much an unknown quantity because he has proved in historic racing and British GT that he is very good indeed. He will start on pole position. Dakota Jane is on the grid to have a word with him.
John, man on pole, do you think you've got what it takes to win this? Hold a second, let me put this.
I knew you were going to ask me that. I'm going to try, but yeah, we'll see. I've got to tell you that the Lamborghini yesterday in the wet was just awesome. It's no surprise that we've got 2 Lamborghinis on the front row, and I think we can equally as good in the dry. So I'm not going to say I'm confident, but I think we're going to give it a good go anyway.
Well, I hope all the best for you. Thank you very much. Good luck.
No, thank you.
So John Minshaw, the Cheshire-based driver, he comes from a good racing family because his father, Alan Minshaw, mainstay of saloon car racing in this country through the 70s and 80s. Demon Tweeds represented on the car is the family racewear business. And John's 2 brothers, Jason and Guy, both very competitive racers as well. And John won the first 2 races, indeed on the same day, at Alton Park in the British GT Championship in that car that he shares in British GT with Phil Keane. These are solo driver races then, no pit stops, so 1 driver and you're on your own, as the Porsche there of Jürgen Hering makes its way up towards the grid. On the outside of the front row is Cedric Lima with the Lamborghini. Cedric, former Lamborghini Super Trofeo champion, and somebody who is going to be competitive. But John Minshaw is going to take some stopping, I think, in this. But it's a Lamborghini lockout then at the front of the grid. You've got Lamborghini, BMW, Ferrari, Mercedes represented on this grid. And at the home of the British Racing Drivers Club, the grid set, ready to go. 25 minutes for this qualifying race that sorts out the grid for the main race, with the larger points haul to come later on. And the clock ticks down, ready for the start of the formation lap. They will get, of course, 1 lap behind the pace car. It's a rolling start, as befits a proper GT race. So when the race director is happy, into the pits will come the pace car, and then we will go racing. It's the full 5-kilometre Grand Prix circuit here. We use the so-called heritage pits, in other words, the old start straight rather than the wing, which is where the Grand Prix operates from, between Club and Abbey on the other side of the circuit. And the Silverstone fans, who are hardy souls, brace for the elements, get ready for what's going to be a spectacular race with, as I say, Lamborghinis locking out the front row. The second row of the grid has on the inside of it the Lamborghini of Nico van Dierendonck, and then the BMW of Karim Auger. Now, Anthony Pons runs second in the championship, 3 points back from Daniele Perfetti. Let's hear from him next. He's on the grid with Dakota.
Anthony, you're starting P6 on the grid. What's the strategy here?
Strategy is 20 minutes of race where we'll do our best. It's our first session on the dry track. Yesterday we had only rain, so it's a little bit of a discover this morning. But we will do our best.
Right, I've got to let you go. Thank you. Good luck.
Anthony Pons then starts 6th in the ACA ASP run, Autosport Promotion run car. That's the Mercedes, and Anthony Pons has been a very experienced driver. He's raced in the European Le Mans Series. He's done the 24 Hours of Le Mans, for example. He's done the Endurance V2V Championship, moving into the Blancpain GT Sports Club Series this year. So a man to watch as we look down through the grid. Minshaw and Lima on the front row, Van Dierendonck and Karim Auger on row 2, Oliver Morley and Anthony Pons on the 3rd row. Keep going back, you've got the white BMW there of Pierre Hershey lining up alongside Fon Sheltemer. The next row of the grid, Coach McKenzie and Claude Gosselin. Then Klaus-Dieter Freres and Louis-Philippe Sonnen. Roberto Raineri comes next with Steve Earle for company. Pierre Felicioni, just to the left, was put to the back of the grid or given a 3-place grid drop after taking the checkered flag twice. And Patrick Van Glebaeke and Howard Blank in the AF Corsa Ferraris, not with a lap time credited to them. So they have work to do. But Van Glebaeke is a race winner in this in the past. So his progress up from the back in the 25 minutes that we have now is going to be worth watching. So the cars leave the line, making their way up now towards the right-hander of Copse Corner. I'll turn through that and then try and get some warmth into the tyres. Let's just confirm the way that the cars line up. John Minshaw and Cedric Lima then at the very front. The second row of the grid, another of the Lamborghinis, Nico van Dierendonck lining up alongside the experienced Karim Auger. Then Oliver Morley, who is also racing in the main Blancpain event this weekend, and Anthony Pons alongside him. Jürgen Herring's Porsche, the sole Porsche on the grid, is alongside Alexis de Bernardi's Ferrari. Then the Canadian driver Mark Thomas with the Mercedes, and he lines up alongside the Christoph Ulrich-driven Ferrari. Pierre Hershey and Fons Scheltema come next on the grid. Then the pseudonymed Coach McKenzie and Claude-Yves Gosselin lining up alongside him, ahead of Klaus-Dieter Freres and Louis-Philippe Sonnen. And then you have Roberto Raineri with his GDL Racing entered Mercedes, lining up alongside the Kessel Ferrari of Steve Earle. The next row is Pierre Falagioni's Boussaint-Gignon run Lamborghini, and then you've got Patrick Van Glebaeke in the Ferrari with Howard Blank rounding out the grid. So they're down at the end of Vale at the moment, about to work their way through Club Corner. And John Minshaw in a car he knows well, at a circuit he knows well. There aren't that many events run on the Grand Prix circuit here, but one of them is the annual Silverstone Classic, the big historic meeting, and John has a nice fleet of historic cars, so he has done many a lap around it in that configuration. But also, British GT has a 3-hour race on the full Grand Prix circuit here, and so John has track experience of it from that as well. So he really is in the box seat here. He's also a very quick driver, so he's going to take some stopping, I reckon, as the field works its way out of Abbey, up through Farm, and then the run towards Village Corner. The Audi safety car starting now to bunch everybody up, ready for the rolling start. As I was mentioning, championship-wise, Daniele Perfetti not racing here this weekend in this championship, so Anthony Pons has the perfect opportunity to move ahead of him. Cedric Lima runs third, and he's 8 points back on Perfetti, so he can make some progress. Yoshiki Omura missing, he's fourth. Steve Earle, Klaus-Dieter Freres, fifth and sixth. They are here. So by the end of the weekend, there's going to be a bit of a shuffle around within the overall championship. There is also the Iron Cup for the over 60 drivers, and there is the Extra Cup for the cars from a one-make championship, like the Lamborghini Huracan, if it's in one-make spec rather than GT3 spec. Also, the Renault RS01 is eligible for that as well. And that is headed at the moment by Mario Cordoni, who is racing in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo this weekend, so we don't really need to worry too much about the Extra Cup. Instead, we can just enjoy what's promising to be a very good race indeed. Can anybody stop John Minshaw? British driver. We've not had, I think I'm right in saying, a Brit have a win in the Blancpain GT Sports Club before. He could write history in that respect as well, as they work their way now down Wellington Straight, heading towards Brooklands, with alongside at the front of the grid then Cedric Lima in the Auto Vitesse run Lamborghini. The second row of the grid, the red, white and blue Ombre racing car of Nico van Dierendonck alongside the experienced Karim Auger in the big BMW, the M6 GT3. And the field now turning its way up towards the long right-hander of Luffield. If the race director, Alain Adam, is happy that everybody is holding station, he'll give the call for the pace car as it is to peel into the pit lane. It's then up to the front row drivers, John Minshaw and Cedric Lima, to control the pace on the run up towards the start line. Silverstone, one of the many venues where the start and timing line are in different places. So you come out of Woodcote and that's where you find the finish line, the timing line, but the start line's a little bit further along the straight towards Copse Corner. The lights will be red. Now they go green. John Minshaw blasts away from pole position in the red and green Lamborghini, moves across the defend from Lima, going into Copse Corner. Up the inside line goes Van Dierendonck as they work their way through the right-hander for the first time then and accelerate up towards Maggots and then onto the Beckett's S's. John Minshaw leading the way, getting away indeed. Lima running second, and there is Auger going through on the inside to fend off the challenge of Oliver Morley in the Mercedes. One of the Ferraris running a little bit wide, Steve Earle potentially, as they scramble their way through Beckett's for the first time. Indeed, it was the Ferrari number 51 that was going wide with Christoph Ulrich, so he loses one place. but survives the battle as the race leader, John Minshaw, then tries to get away on the run down towards Stoke Corner. Doing a race on his own is a bit of a novelty these days, apart from some of the historic events he does. There, diving up on the inside, another of the Ferraris trying to make progress, and 77 on a mission is the car of von Scheltemer, attacking 21, Pierre Hershey's BMW Z4 as they work their way now through Stowe. Down Vale comes Oliver Morley in the blue Mercedes, looking to get up past Carrie Mauger, couldn't quite do it. And so as they accelerate their way now up through that long right of Club Corner, past the wing on the right-hand side of the Formula 1 pit lane, John Minshaw getting away in second spot still is Lima, and Oliver Morley is on a mission, isn't he? Flashing his lights at Carrie Mauger to say, come on, let me through. Gets all sideways, Oliver Morley, he's lost it, coming through Abbey. Round it goes, and Oliver Morley trying to gain places, has a big spin. Cars scatter left and right in avoidance, and so Oliver Morley drops down the order. I think that was pushing just a fraction too hard on cold tyres, and round it has gone. You saw the back get away from him, he nearly held it, but in the end Oliver Morley, rather than going up one, which was the plan, drops many. And this is how it all happened. He turns into Abbey. Does he whack the curb? Might have done, but he certainly lost the back end turning through the corner. It went one way, it went the other, onto the grass, and round it goes. So the Brit, from Cheshire originally, based in London these days, spins. John Minshaw, another Cestrian, heads up towards Woodcote Corner, being pursued by the Lamborghini of Cedric Lima as they turn their way now over the timing line at the end of lap one. The gap between them is 1 second. Third is Nico van Dierendonck in his Lamborghini. Fourth is Carrie Mauger. Fifth, Anthony Pons. Sixth now is Alexis de Bernardi. And off the road as well has gone Claude-Yves Gosselin with his Lamborghini Gallardo. Now that is coming through Brooklands. So that's nearly at the end of the lap. But he's had a spin and by the look of it has stalled it because the car has still not got going again. Christoph Ulrich in the Ferrari on the back of Jürgen Herring's Porsche now as they work their way through the Beckett's S's. About to blast their way through Chapel Curve and onto the Hanger Straight for the second time in this Blancpain GT Sports Club qualifying race. So Jürgen Herring has got quite a stack of cars up behind him now. He's another driver doing the main GT Series Endurance Cup race, the 3-hour race tomorrow here. As up the inside goes Christoph Ulrich, and that was a pretty yawning gap afforded to him, so he makes full advantage of it. Through he goes. Pierre Hershey at the back of this train, turning his way through on the tail of von Scheltemer's Ferrari. Jürgen Herring tries to fight back, but Christoph Ulrich is going to stay ahead of him as they break at the end of Vale, turning into Club. Pierre Hershey scrambles back up the inside of the rather aggressively painted front of von Scheltemer's car, with sort of shark's teeth there, but he's not been able to gobble up the BMW. Hershey back ahead of him, and Gosselin, by the way, after that spin, has rejoined, but only as far as the pit lane. Oliver Morley at the end of lap one, 16th, in number 16, so he's got lots of work to do to try to get himself up the order. So John Minshaw, the race leader, but now in third place, Nico van Dierendonck starting to do very good sectors and bring the gap down relative to the man ahead of him. So van Dierendonck on a mission, and Herring has got a problem. The Porsche slows as perhaps he couldn't find a gear there. Going through, or the right gear, going through the loop. He's lost places, he's back up to speed now. Here are the leaders, and the gap that was 1 second last time has not opened up by much, if anything. So Minshaw versus Lima as they come over the timing line. Nico van Dierendonck running third. The gap is down to 7/10 Minshaw to Lima, and Cedric Lima doing the faster lap. So he is on a mission in 9.63. There he is. Third, Nico van Dierendonck. Fourth now, Carrie Mauger. The BMW fending off Anthony Pons, and then to round out the top six, Alexis de Bernardi. So Minshaw versus Lima, Lamborghini 1-2. If they get themselves together and start squabbling, then the gap will come right down between them and Nico van Dierendonck, who runs in third place. From the back of the grid, by the way, Patrick van Glebbeke in 4.88 has got himself up into 16th place, and his work is not yet done, so he's still carving his way up the order. But of course, the trouble is that the gaps are widening up the road. What he is hoping for might be for an interruption, but also, of course, the better he does in this race, the higher up he will start for the main race at the end of the afternoon. So Lima, quicker last time than Minshaw, and quicker as well in sector one. You can see he's nearly there on the back of the race leader. They break for the end of Vale, and the gap comes down even more. So Cedric Lima on a mission now as they turn their way through Club. John Minshaw knows the circuit very well. He knows this car very well. Not raced against Cedric Lima before, though, and they power their way now past the wing up towards Abbey, over the bump in the road. Turn right here, the two leading Lambos getting themselves together. turn right, turn left, up now towards Village, and John Minshaw is going to have to start defending now. How long will this battle rage, and is it going to give a lifeline to Nico van Dierendonck is the next question. He is not that far behind them. He does need, however, the two ahead, the two leaders to hold each other up, and Lima there has a rather cheeky look to the inside line, coming towards Aintree now. Through the left-hander, Minshaw rides the curb on the way in, wide on the way out. Up the curb goes Lima, and they blast under the vehicle bridge. Absolutely nose to tail. Is Lima near enough to think about making a move on the inside? No, not quite, but he's applying the pressure to John Minshaw. Accelerating his way now through the right-hander of Luffield. Up towards the timing line they will come. Tweaks Barwell Motorsport run car of John Minshaw leads the way as he heads over the timing line, then being chased by Cedric Lima. The gap between them half a second, so it's come down. Lap 2, down again lap 3. Van Dierendonck behind them is not lapping quite as quickly, but he is chipping away. He's doing his best in sectors rather than over the whole lap. So Van Dierendonck third, doing his best to creep up onto the back of the top two. But the leading trio long gone as far as anybody else is concerned. It's quite a wait after Van Dierendonck now before you get Carrie Moget. Anthony Pons is 5th, De Bernardi is 6th, 7th is Ulrich, in 8th place now 87, which is Mark Thomas. In 9th is Pierre Hershey, and the top 10 completed by the recovering Oliver Morley, kicking himself there, the blue Mercedes, for that spin early on there. Behind him 11th is Schaltema, and then behind him is the Ferrari in the hands of Klaus-Dieter Frers. Von Schaltema in the Shark's Teeth Ferrari, somebody that's been a regular front runner within the Ferrari Challenge for a number of years. Pierre Hershey back up the inside there of the 87 Mercedes, so he goes ahead of Mark Thomas, diving into Stowe Corner. But I suspect it won't be long before Oliver Morley is up with them. Another flash of the lights to say, come on, I'm faster. He's going to make a launch up the inside at the end of Vale. And through goes Morley then. The British driver goes ahead of the Canadian, Mark Thomas, who's done quite a bit of his racing in the UK, going back to the British Touring Car package and the Lotus Championship in the late 1990s, and Vauxhall Vectras, and he's raced GT cars all around the world, seemingly. So Thomas drops one spot in the Mercedes. Now, the BMW Z4, great to have that car on the grid. It still looks the part, sounds fantastic, with the Swiss driver Pierre Hershey at the wheel. It's coming under attack from the Mercedes of Oliver Morley, who goes wide into Village. Tries to duck up the inside, but he'll be on the outside line here for the loop if he's not careful. Pierre Hershey fends him off. Morley needs to switch sides again. He tries. Hasn't got the grunt coming out of the corner. So Pierre Hershey fends him off as they sprint now down Wellington Straight once again. Behind them, let's see if anybody else is on a bit of a mission. Patrick Van Glebeker from the back of the grid up to 16th. And there, Morley charges up the inside. Couldn't quite do it though. Pierre Hershey just was able to turn in ahead of him. Morley will try and get up the inside, will he, at Luffield? Yes, yes, yes! There's the gap, there's the opportunity, and Morley goes through. They almost lean on each other. Pierre Hershey forced out wide, but Oliver Morley charges his way through, and that, at the start of the lap, was the man in 10th place. He will come over the line 8th now, so he's on a mission. The trouble is for Morley that the gaps have opened up ahead of him. There is 4th place Carrie Moget. Now, Ogier has done the fastest lap of the race, and he's got himself back onto terms with Van Dierendonck. So heading down Hanger Straight towards Stowe Corner once again, and Carrie Moget now makes a move. Has Van Dierendonck got a problem? There's not much in terms of defence being put up there. He's also fallen a long way back from the top two, so Ogier breezes past him up the inside, and Nico van Dierendonck drops away. Van Dierendonck then heads down towards the end of Vale, a man with quite a bit of Porsche experience in the GT3 Benelux Championship before he came into this series a couple of seasons ago. And the Blancpain GT Sports Club continues to grow. Each year, more cars, more drivers, different cars, different drivers, many of whom have decided that they like the concept of GT racing, they like the way that it's all presented to them as drivers by SRO, the organisation that is the leading promoter of GT racing. But perhaps they don't want the high-pressure environment of being in a race with lots of professional drivers, guns for hire around them. So these two races that they get and lots of track time over the weekend ticks the box perfectly. 77 turning through then, Von Schaltema running at the moment in 11th place as Mark Thomas comes up to have another go at Pierre Hershey. You see the way Oliver Morley caught up, passed and pulled away, whereas as Hershey goes wide, Thomas now gets a chance, does he? Where's the Mercedes in relation to the BMW? Still stuck behind. Schaltema is next in the queue, and he's taking Klaus-Dieter Frers with him. But now Mark Thomas gets up the inside line, going through Aintree. Job done, and also Scheltema tries to go by the Ferrari. He and Hershey are side by side, the BMW forced onto the dirt. So von Scheltema goes through, that puts him up into the top 10 now. Pierre Hershey tries to fight back, has a look on the inside line, but that's not really a serious move, I'm afraid. So as they turn their way round Luffield, and in a moment will sprint up towards the timing line. Mark Thomas on the brink there, the car quivering underneath him. Pierre Hershey is going to try and defend here from Klaus-Dieter Freres in the Ferrari, who looks up the inside line, coming into Woodcote, couldn't do it. They work their way down towards Copse Corner. Another challenge made. Von Scheltema dives up the inside of Mark Thomas. The Mercedes is ahead, but will go a little bit wider through the right-hander. Can Scheltema now get the run up towards Maggots? He's on the outside line for Maggots, but that will be the inside for the first part of Beckett's. Through he goes, job done. Von Scheltema in the Ferrari goes through, picks up the place. Now, Oliver Morley, the blue Mercedes, a little bit further up the road, starting to do absolute bests in sectors. So Morley has the chance of gaining further ground before the end of the race here. He's a great character, Oliver Morley, but he will be furious with himself for making that mistake early on, as Pierre Hershey has a look on the inside. John Minshaw still leads the way. Cedric Lima is still second, and that gap hovering around the 0.6 of a second mark. Turning their way now through the left at Farm, up towards the right-hander at Village. Hard on the brakes, and Cedric Lima looking for a way past, but John Minshaw knows all the tricks. He knows exactly where to put that car. Not driving in a dirty manner, far from it, but just driving defensively enough to make sure there's no chance that Lima can find a way through. We've still got 13 minutes of the 25 to go, so Cedric Lima can bide his time. Again, he runs wide, however, coming out of Aintree over the curbs, and do that too often, the race officials are going to want a word with you. It might be that a penalty comes, for example, if it's exceeding the track limits on too many occasions. Karim Auger third, but not really, I don't think, being able to bring down this gap. Working their way then now through the right-hander of Luffield, heading again up towards the timing line. And there, the gap opens up. John Minshaw sprints clear as they come in towards Woodcote. So a gap that was 0.6 looks like it may well have doubled. Over the timing line they come. 0.8 of a second it is. It's not quite as bad as I was fearing. Third is Auger, there in the big black BMW. Fourth behind him is Nico van Dierendonck. He turns his way through, ready to make the run now up towards Maggots. Behind these four, you've got Anthony Pons running in 5th place, Alexis de Bernardi running in 6th, and Oliver Morley 8th. Now, where's his next target going to be? Christoph Ulrich it will be for him, as there Van Dierendonck is not letting Auger get away. So Nico van Dierendonck, number 63, accelerating his way down towards Stowe Corner. He's on the hanger straight now, fast part of the circuit this, and as you brake for the right-hander it tightens. You then have to drop down through Vale to get to Club. And the Lamborghini in the hands of Van Dierendonck working its way through that right-hander. 4th place he is. And Van Dierendonck staying in touch with Auger, even though he lost the place. And it was almost an easy gift for Auger. There was so little defence put up. Now Lima is coming back at the leader, isn't he? That gap is down a little bit. How are they doing in sectors? Fractionally faster in sector 1 with Cedric Lima. Let's see what happens in the middle sector, which will be completed when they're on Wellington Straight. It's the longer sector. And Silverstone in this configuration, always a bit of a compromise. You need plenty of power for certain bits, but you need a good setup and good aero for the twiddly bits, and this is very twiddly, through Village, and then left into the loop that brings you to Aintree. And again, Lima has done the hard yards, he's brought down the gap. Through they come, nose to tail. Now is this an opportunity for Cedric Lima to make a move? He looks close enough. Does he dive up the inside? He thinks about it, but John Minshaw covers the line in readiness. Nose to tail as they work their way through Brooklands. Then now through the left, it's going to be right at Luffield. The two of them running together, and this is Lima's golden chance. He has a go on the inside line. He can't make it work, though. He can't make it stick. So John Minshaw hangs on to the advantage, but he's having to work harder than perhaps anybody expected here. Cedric Lima, who's not been to Silverstone for a little while, getting better and better all the time, heads over the line. Down towards Copse they go. This now is lap 8. 10 more minutes to go as they turn their way through the right-hander and now make the run up towards the left-hand kink at Maggots and then into the Beckett's S's. So there, 33, John Minshaw, race leader, and the margin was 0.4 of a second. Karim Auger, by the way, third. He's 4 seconds back, but has done the fastest lap of the race. So you can see in the background that gap to the eye is coming down. Now that they are squabbling, it is having the desired effect for Auger. He is being able to draw nearer. Down to Stowe they come then. Number 963 is the Lamborghini in second place. Cedric Lima, 4/10 back, but he's lost a little bit of ground in sector 1. And Pierre Hershey has got a problem coming out of Copse in the white BMW. People swarming past him, and that does not pick up speed. It looks like it's a mechanical issue for the Swiss driver, so Pierre Hershey keeping out of harm's way. Coach McKenzie in the Lamborghini through. The pseudonym Coach McKenzie comes onto the hanger straight and now makes the run down towards Stoke Corner. Now the field has become a little bit broken up as you look at 488, which is Patrick Van Glabeke, who surprisingly has not made the progress up through the order I was anticipating. He runs Curbstone, the ultimate track day company based at Paul Ricard, and Patrick Van Glabeke, race winner last year, but struggling to get through the traffic here. He's on the back of McKenzie. He's got Jürgen Hering behind him, and very, very wide indeed he goes, coming out of club. There is von Scheltemer's Ferrari running in 9th spot. Oliver Morley, by the way, has gained another place in his recovery drive, up into 7th position now. And how is Auger doing against those ahead? He's doing a pretty decent job, actually, certainly in the first sector, bringing down the gap. 1-1-1, Steve Earle, the orthopaedic surgeon, works his way up to the loop. So John Minshaw, the race leader, through half a second now over Cedric Lima. And then, still 4 seconds back, Karim Auger, whose last lap was a little slower than those ahead. It is a punctured tyre for 21 Pierre Hershey, we understand. So number 21, it's a puncture. That's why he was slow coming out of Copse. Whether that caused him to run wide there or it was running wide that gave him the puncture, I don't know. Number 3 is Klaus-Dieter Frères. Now he is the leader of the Iron Cup for the over 60s. Working his way now through Woodcote. Klaus-Dieter Frères goes through in now 10th place with Pierre Hershey's problems. So it's Klaus-Dieter Frères from Steve Earle and then Louis-Philippe Cernan within the Iron Cup for the over 60 drivers. Martin Lanting, last year's champion, not racing this season. So the race leader, John Minshaw, is on to lap number 9. We've got 7 minutes and change on the clock as the field turns its way now through the Beckett's S's once again. Steve Earle with damage on the front right corner. He's the second of those in the Iron Cup, but he's had a skirmish early on in the race, hence the damage. It's not delaying him too much, I don't think, but he's coming under attack from Coach McKenzie, and then also Patrick Van Glabeke trying to work his way through the pack as well. Down to Stoke Corner they go with 7 minutes on the clock. Coach McKenzie switching away from a Gallardo to a Huracan GT3 for this year, fending off Van Glabeke with the Ferrari. The Ferrari's on the grid, a mix, in fact, of 488s and 458 for Howard Blank at the back of the field. And there is Pierre Hershey still limping back to the pit, so he's got a lap down, but trying to nurse the car to the pits. And if he can get back out and not be last, then he will not be last on the grid for the main race later on in the day. So if he can rejoin, it's worth doing it. There is Lima, still second. Now, 6 minutes to go. Has he shot his bolt? Has he got a genuine answer to John Minshaw? The gap somewhat elasticated. Some laps it comes down, some laps it goes out. Half a second last time when they went over the timing line, 8/10 now. So still John Minshaw always looks the stronger of the two, and he leads as they work their way around Copse. Karim Auger is third, and the last lap that he did was another fastest lap of the race, Karim Auger. So he's 3.6 seconds back now from the second place driver. Into the Beckett's S's comes John Minshaw. Cedric Lima chases on behind him. John, who started racing in the XR Challenge for Ford Fiestas, a regional championship, and then had a few years away, came back in historic racing with a nice fleet of cars, and has been very successful in historic GT, historic sports cars, historic single-seaters, but also in modern GT cars. As I say, he's been one of the pace setters this year in British GT. He was unlucky not to win the championship last year after the car went off the road. And the cars turning their way now down through Club Corner. John Minshaw leads the way, accelerating now up past the Formula 1 pits, past the wing. They turn their way up now through the right and then the left of Abbey and Farm, and the gap is reduced between the two of them again, as now to the outside line goes Lima. He's going to run out of road, surely. He does. He has to lift. He goes a little bit wide, and so that was a genuine bid, but didn't pay out for him. It does prove, though, that he has not given up. He's not settling for second place. So the cars now sprint their way down Wellington Straight. The gap opens up because of the time lost by running wide there from Cedric Lima, but as they work their way down now in towards Brooklands, Minshaw it is in the box seat once again. Now, is Lima going to be able to bring down that time? Number 3 Ferrari working its way up now into the left-hander at the loop. So that's Klaus-Dieter Frers, 10th ahead of Mark Thomas. Down Wellington Straight they run for the 11th time. So let's see how this battle pans out for the lower end of the top 10. You've got the damaged Ferrari of Steve Earle, now running in 12th place. That's going to need a bit of TLC and some tank tape ready for the second race of the day, the main race. Did he bounce off Mark Thomas's car? Because that looks a bit scuffed as well, doesn't it, on the left-hand side, whereas it's the right-hand side of the Ferrari. So it could have been that those two tangled a little bit earlier in the race. Race leaders turn their way up out of the Beckett's S's. This battle pack for 10th going through Maggots into Beckett's now. Now Mark Thomas is under attack. Stowe they turn. Coach McKenzie makes a move this time in the Lamborghini up the inside. That's going to be against Mark Thomas. Steve Earle having got up and passed the Mercedes then. So Ferrari goes ahead of Mercedes. Lamborghini tries to do likewise. And now they work their way through Club Corner. 2 more minutes on the clock and a flying lap is 2 minutes 5. The race leaders are nose to tail and they're coming into Luffield now, then into Woodcote. Here they are. They're going to start the last lap this time, aren't they, with Minshaw still just ahead of Lima. Now is Lima going to be able to have one last go? Through Copse Corner they turn. The gap at the start of this lap less than it has ever been, 0.3 of a second. Blue flag wave to John Minshaw, the race leader. He will know there is a faster car behind him. He knows exactly where Lima is, and Cedric is pushing. Minshaw has got to make that car wide for one more lap. Nose to tail, onto the hanger straight. To the inside line goes Lima, has a look, can't do it again, and so John Minshaw hangs on to the place. Goes a little bit wide coming out of Stowe. Now the run down through Vale. Lima's got to be on his toes here. Can he commit to the inside? He thinks about it, but Minshaw just moves across in time. So Lima has to back out of that and go to the outside. Can he duck up the inside coming through Club Corner? The answer is no. Through they turn towards Abbey. Now remember, it was at Village, the next corner but one, where Lima had a go a lap or so back. Let's see what he can do this time around. Is he close enough? No, but he will brake as late as he dares. He's closing. He gets onto the tail of Minshaw. Really, he needs to make the move at Brooklands. Don't try it anywhere else because you're going to lose the opportunities. Stay nice and close now, coming through Aintree. Up the inside, if he stays with Minshaw all the way through this corner and then down to Brooklands, he's going to be able to make a move, but he's wasting the time there by running wide. Straight away, 2 cars' lengths gifted back to John Minshaw. Down they come, into the braking zone, hard on the brakes. John Minshaw leads the way, and I fear that Lima has shot his bolt then by running wide, coming through Aintree. He's dropped a little bit too far back. The checkered flag is going to be at the ready, and so here they come now, up towards the timing line. John Minshaw it is who is going to score the race win. First time out in the Blancpain GT Sports Club, and a first win as well. John Minshaw wins at Silverstone. Second across the line is Cedric Lima. The gap at the end being just under 0.6 of a second. Carrie Moget comes through to take third in the BMW. There, fourth, it is Nico van Dierendonk, and it should be Anthony Pons for 5th place. and that will help him within the championship. He has just crossed the line for 5th, in fact, and 6th. He's going to go the way of Oliver Morley, recovering after his earlier spin. Now, we've had Steve Earle getting himself up past Klaus-Dieter Frères within the Iron Cup. So the Ferraris have switched round on the last lap, and Steve Earle, who we've seen as a regular in the Blancpain GT Series Endurance Cup since its conception, is going to be a winner in class. He comes over the timing line now, and so through Steve Earle goes to be a class winner and to round out the top 10 as well. So 33, John Minshaw takes the race win, and he does so by 0.6 of a second, just under, from Cedric Lima, who tried his hardest, you've got to say, but it just was not to be. Pierre Hershey did not go out again after his punctured tyre, so he will be at the back of the grid for the main race, but pole position will go to this man, John Minshaw it is then, who will take a race win, and with it pole position for the main race, which is the longer race, 40 minutes, coming up later in the day. Good drive by John to withstand everything that was thrown at him, really, by a hard charging, you've got to say, Cedric Lima behind. And then for 3rd place, Karim Auger. He will round out the drivers on the podium. So John Minshaw, the overall winner. You've seen Steve Earle as the Iron Cup winner, and Howard Blank, the Cup class winner, incidentally, for the monobrand cars. John Minshaw, the winner then of the qualifying race here at round 2 of the Blancpain GT Sports Club, from Cedric Lima and Karim Auger. Nico van Dierendonck 4th ahead of Anthony Pons and Oliver Morley. 7th, Alexis de Bernardi from Christoph Ulrich, with Fon Schaltemer and a class-winning Steve Earle 10th. Then Klaus-Dieter Frères ahead of Mark Thomas, rounding out the top dozen. 13th over the line was Patrick van Gleberke ahead of Coach McKenzie. The Porsche 15th of Jürgen Hering, in turn fending off the Louis-Philippe Cernan Ferrari. Pierre Feligioni from the back only got to 17th ahead of Roberto Ranieri. Howard Blank won his class and was 19th ahead of Claude-Yves Gosselin, who made a pit stop after his spin, and Pierre Hershey retired with a punctured tyre in the BMW Z4 early on. So the drivers now make their way down the pit lane, and as they do so, the drivers that we need for the podium will be stopped under Parc Ferme conditions at the foot of the race control building, and there is John Minshaw, no stranger to success in this car in the UK. Started on pole, but it doesn't really tell the whole story to win from pole, does it? Because he had to work oh so hard to fend off Cedric Lima, and bear in mind that Karim Auger, whose BMW arrives there, did the fastest lap of the race. So John Minshaw clambers out of the car. John, who races with an artificial lower leg as well, but you wouldn't think it to see the pace that he has. Very, very rapid driver indeed. And in a moment, having taken off his spectacles, we'll get rid of the hands device and the crash helmet, and then make his way up towards the podium. Cedric Lima out of the Lamborghini, and John Minshaw in a moment, I think, will have got his breath back, be able to explain how hard a race it was, with Cedric Lima crawling all over him really for the last 25 minutes. And down there to have a word with the race winner, John Minshaw, is our reporter, Dakota Jane.
Congratulations, you had your work cut out for you there from behind. I was almost so close, but you made it out with the win.
Well, I didn't do it out. Well, I had to defend quite hard to win the last 2 laps. I made a mistake. I lost my front tyres, and I had to defend probably a little bit more than I wanted to. But if the door's not open, you can't come through.
Exactly, that's the spirit. Congratulations.
So John Minshaw then, despite having stressed his front tyres a little bit too much, being able to fend off Cedric Lima, and a good start to the weekend for John and for Barwell, of course. A busy team with 2 cars in the Endurance Cup. Mike Gorton leaning in with the grey hair, former Fiesta champion, now part of Barwell's GT team. I'm just thinking back as to whether they ever raced against each other, John Minshaw and Mike Gorton, in XR Challenge days at Alton Park. John might have just predated Mike a bit. Cedric Lima there in the Pirelli cap. And Karim Ogier, the Saudi driver, another vastly experienced racer, great enthusiast, and for whom really this championship is ideal, about to make his way up to the podium as well. So there, John Minshaw being congratulated. Hopefully in a moment we'll head up the stairs. We've got Cedric Lima having worked hard but not quite able to get himself ahead of John Minshaw, but they will fight on later in the day when you've got the longer race as well. But now they've had one race under their belts, they can factor in the data about tyre management. Steve Earle in the background, having won his class, the Ironman, the Iron Cup, and he will head up the stairs in a moment. So first race of the day for the Blancpain GT Sports Club at an end, but the teams have a few hours now to refettle the cars, drivers get themselves fresh and then go racing for 40 minutes later on. John Minshaw and Cedric Lima shake hands. Mark Lemmer leans in to say well done to John. Mark Lemmer runs Barwell, himself no mean racer, so a very happy race winning team. Karim Ogier third, let's hear from him with Dakota.
Karim, congratulations. Started fourth and now you're third. Happy with that?
Yeah, it was a tough battle. I had a really tough competitor next to me, the Mercedes. He tried to pass me, the first corner. And when I saw that basically he did a 360 in turn number 12, I was okay, I was delighted. That made it pretty good. And then I just had the Lamborghini and I was really pleased coming up. Very gentleman. The gentleman in front of me really let me pass, very gentleman. And this is a really good thing about this club. We're trying to be gentlemen at the end of the day. And then I just kept pushing. And I got really scared when the team basically told me it was the last lap because I had the back marker and I'm going, whoa, this is not it. This is going into Beckett's and he's really stopping me and the Lamborghini was right coming down. I'm going, okay. But hey, listen, I'm happy. It's tough, but it's tough. So it's nice to be on the podium again.
Congratulations, thank you.
Thanks.
And a big grin to go with it. Karim Ogier, I said he was a great enthusiast. There's the evidence of it. Loves his racing. And the BMW driver then takes third spot. So, in a few moments, hopefully we'll get the drivers onto the podium. And then the celebrations can begin, although the majority of them, I suspect, will come at the end of the afternoon once they've got the second race out of the way. But the winning drivers, after 25 minutes of combat, make their way to the International Media Centre podium, and John Minshaw is going to be the man for the top step, having driven very well indeed to repel the challenge of the pack behind. Silverstone very busy with GT cars this weekend because it's a weekend of the Blancpain GT Sports Club, the Blancpain GT Series, and indeed Lamborghini Super Trofeo. So everywhere you look, there's a mouth-watering car. The pit lane absolutely full of cars, teams, drivers, and you can see all the refuelling urns all the way down the pit lane there. On the podium are some of the championship officials getting ready to receive the drivers, who should be there any moment, led by the British driver John Minshaw and Cedric Lima and Karim Ogier to join him. While we wait, let's have a look at the highlights of the qualifying race here at Silverstone. John Minshaw made the best start, defended from Cedric Lima as the cars worked their way through Copse for the first time and started to edge away as Oliver Morley worked his way onto the tail of Karim Ogier. But then he had a big drama, did Morley, coming out of Abbey. The car swapped ends, it went all the way around and he fell down the order. His recovery to sixth place, one of the highlights of the race, but the other was this great lead battle that we had between Minshaw in the lead and the Lamborghini of Cedric Lima looking for a way through. Try as he might, Lima could never quite do it. Other battles lower down included Pierre Hershey and Mark Thomas, BMW versus Mercedes. The elasticated lead gap stretched in favour of John Minshaw as lower down the order Klaus-Dieter Frers led the Iron Cup, but this man Steve Earle would eventually overhaul him and find a way through. John Minshaw managed to fend off the final challenge of Cedric Lima to come home victorious in the qualifying race in the Blancpain GT Sports Club. So the drivers have made their way up to the podium, and here at Silverstone, the first time the Blancpain GT Sports Club has raced here, has had a very lively first race, and Karim Ogier called forward onto the podium now for third place in the Butson-Gignon Racing BMW. In second place, it will be Cedric Lima in the Auto Vitesse Garage R Affolter Lamborghini Huracan GT3. But for Barwell Motorsport, for Demon Tweaks, the top step goes the way of John Minshaw. The British driver celebrates his win here on home soil. John Minshaw, the British national anthem is played, puts his regulation race winner's cap back on, and now Hugo de Silva from Blancpain steps forward to hand over the trophies for the third place driver, first of all, to Carrie Moget, then the second place trophy for Cedric Lima, and John Minshaw adds another one to the collection, but he's first in this championship. A win for John Minshaw then in the qualifying race in the Blancpain GT Sports Club. Is he going to be able to make it 2 from 2 later in the day? They all get together on the top step of the podium. Cedric Lima on the far left, Carrie Moget in the black, white and orange overalls and the green and red overalls. John Minshaw in the middle, the winner, first time out in Blancpain GT Sports Club. There is now the champagne for them, but as they're gentlemen, will they spray? Nah, they're going to save for later on at least. Carrie Moget will throw that to the team. No, bottles it in every sense, and will make his way from the podium as the Iron Cup drivers get ready next for their podium. A class win for Steve Earle from Klaus-Dieter Frères, and then Louis-Philippe Cernan, the top 3 drivers in the Iron Cup, the class designed for the over 60s to give them something to aim for. Steve Earle in the background, I can see. And so I think we're ready for the drivers to make their way out, with Steve Earle taking a class win. And as far as the Iron Cup is concerned, he was leading that anyway from Klaus-Dieter Frères by 3 points after the 2 races at Misano. Klaus-Dieter Frères won the qualifying race there and Steve Earle won the main race. Well, here Steve wins the qualifying race. Let's see what happens later on in the day as the drivers now are called forward. So Louis-Philippe Cernan is first onto the podium for third place. Klaus-Dieter Frères takes second, and then Steve Earle, the American, much-travelled racer but very successful racer, will go to the top step. It's all very Ferrari, isn't it, on the podium, but the Kessel Racing Ferrari driver Steve Earle celebrates, a very happy man he is too, a class win. Steve Earle then increases the advantage within the Iron Cup in the championship. Hugo de Silva, the events manager from Blancpain, steps forward to give the trophy to Louis-Philippe Cernan, then to Klaus-Dieter Frères. So near and yet so far, because it was on the last lap that Steve Earle came through to take the class win, and he is absolutely over the moon. Martin Lanting was the man to beat last year, but Steve Earle gets all his rivals together, but makes sure they know that his is the biggest trophy as he brandishes that aloft as the class winner. And so, can he do the double later on in the day? Well, we shall see, because the 40-minute race for the Blancpain GT Sports Club comes up at the end of the afternoon here. So they have to think about their diets and eating all the salad rather than drinking champagne. Drivers will go back to their protein bars and nutrition diets in between races, surely, and save the hospitality and the champagne for the end of the day. So it's not sprayed, it is saved, and they will no doubt enjoy themselves on the podium come the end of the afternoon. So, race 1, the qualifying race in the Blancpain GT Sports Club, won by John Minshaw. A very lively race indeed, and a great drive by John to hang on in there to score victory over Cedric Lima and Carrie Moget. The second race this afternoon is going to be longer. Is it going to be 2 from 2 for John Minshaw? We'll see. Back at Silverstone this afternoon. For now, though, thanks for your company. From David Addison, it's bye-bye.